Okay, let's do this. What do I say? Right. Part 1. In the field of linguistics, the concept of register pertains to the level of formality or informality employed in a given speech or written discourse. The importance of register is paramount as it allows speakers and writers alike to craft their language with greater efficacy and persuasion. No, too formal. Sounds like it's been written by an AI bot. Okay, let's try again. Right, here we go. Part 1. All right, guys, how's it hanging? Register in linguistics is super important because when we're in different situations, we've got to talk and write different. Like when you're chilling with your mates in the pub, you talk one way, but when you're being interviewed for your dream job as a hedge fund manager, well, that's a different story, isn't it? No, too casual. No. Okay, let's go one more time. Right, let's go. Let's do this thing. Today on Let Them Talk TV, we're going to talk about register. When you're writing or speaking English, you need to calibrate the level of formality or informality to any given situation. It's not enough to know the English language. You need to choose the right words and grammar for each situation. In this video, I'll show you how to do that, so stay tuned. Much better. You'll speak to your mum in a different way from the way you speak to your boss. The email you write to your best friend will have a different tone to an email to the bank. Vocabulary as well as the grammar can change according to the register. There are 4 main registers in English, and these are formal, neutral, casual, and intimate. We'll define each one, and then in the second part of this video, I'll be joined by my friend and colleague John, and we'll look at some short dialogues, and you have to decide if the registers we are using are right or wrong, and if they are wrong, how can we improve them? First, let's define our registers. The formal register. These are situations where you would choose to use formal register include academic settings, in legal settings, in some areas of business such as negotiation, you would use a more formal style of grammar and vocabulary. In terms of grammar, you might, for example, use the passive voice more often. So you could say, the tests have been completed and the results submitted. If you wanted to be more informal, you would use an active voice. We finished the tests and handed in the results. You might use ordinary verbs rather than phrasal verbs. Unfortunately, the machinery has ceased to function. In informal language, that would be, I'm afraid the machine has broken down. You may use a greater number of words of Latin, Greek, or French origin. For example, we'll have to postpone the meeting until next week. More informally, you'd use that with a phrasal verb. For example, we'll have to put off the meeting until next week. If you're ready, we'll commence the interview. Using commence implies a higher degree of formality than begin. So more informally, if you're ready, we'll begin the interview. Even pronouns and grammar may be used differently. For example, he's got so much more experience than me. That phrase is perfectly correct, grammatically speaking, whatever people say in the comments. However, using a subject pronoun is also correct and sounds more formal. He's got considerably more experience than I have. So another example, you may hear whom or whomever in a formal register instead of who or whoever.
I'll give my full support to whomever the committee selects for the position.
That sounds very formal, doesn't it? Instead of whoever. But if you said whoever, that's perfectly correct too. Whatever register you are using, it's important to note that correct grammar is not fixed like a mathematical formula. Grammar which is correct in one register may sound weird and stilted in another. Good grammar is often a question of context. Context is everything. Who do you think you are? Or is that whom do you think you are? I'll talk more about grammar and its context, when it's right, when it's wrong, in a future video. So look out for that. If I were you, I'd watch it. Or is it, if I was you, I'd watch it? Let's move on to the neutral register. It's not formal, it's not informal, it's not technical. You'd speak to strangers in this way. Most business communication uses this register. When you're speaking to the shop assistant about the type of shoes you want to buy, when you're ordering your skinny latte at the cafe, if you watch a TED talk, they usually use this style, this register. Politicians generally use this register. If a politician uses a more formal register, they sound distant and aloof, hardly a man or woman of the people. But if you're too informal, it lacks gravitas and you might not be taken seriously. That's why politicians are trained on how to straddle the right tone. Some populists, such as Donald Trump, only use the informal register, but this is an exception to the rule. Newspapers and all forms of journalism use this style. Most interactions you have use this register. It is the natural, it is the default way of communicating. Okay, the informal or casual register. You would use this with friends, acquaintances, and perhaps close work colleagues and some family members. There will be a lot more slang, more informal structures. Instead of saying, it's important that she beware of the situation, you'd say, you have to tell her what's going on. Instead of saying, I'm utterly astonished about what just occurred, you'd say, I'm totally gobsmacked about what just happened. Finally, we have the intimate register. You use this in private with partners and close family and close friends and children. If you walked into your bank to ask for a loan and the bank clerk said to you, hello, darling, lovely to see you. Sit down, I'll make you a cup of tea and then we'll have a little chat about your loan. You'd be surprised, confused, uncomfortable, and you'd probably change banks. In the intimate register, you might use pet names, slang, and informal language. In addition, gestures and body language would differ from other registers. So I'm joined today by Jon. Hello, Jon.
Hello, Gideon. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. So you're going to help me with a few of these dialogues.
I am indeed, yes, exactly.
And the first dialogue, it's about an employee who's complaining about bullying. It's a very serious dialogue. Mm-hmm. However, there is something wrong with the dialogue. Can you spot it?
Mm-hmm. Hi, Gideon. I want to tell you something.
What is it, Jon?
Greg Summers, he's been bullying me and my workmates. I don't care that he's my manager. It ain't right.
Okay, sounds serious, but what proof do you have?
4 of my workmates told me what he did, and one of them said she was sexually harassed.
That's really bad. Okay, we'll find out what happened, and if it's true, we'll throw the book at them.
So you'll let me know then, yeah?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, thanks.
So obviously that dialogue didn't sound right, did it? Can you explain what's wrong?
Yeah, it's a bit too informal, isn't it? And some of the phrases used there were not really quite right. To throw the book at somebody, yeah, that's not really appropriate in this situation.
I think so, because I mean they were trying to be serious. They weren't joking around. It's just that
the register was wrong. They were talking too informally.
Yeah.
Okay, it was a very serious matter, sexual harassment.
Very much so, and you've got things like that's really bad. I mean, you probably wouldn't say something like that, would you? I mean, even though
it is really bad.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not the sort of thing an HR director or manager would say.
No, of course, yeah. The response definitely has to be different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's true.
So I've got improved dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what you think of this.
Good morning, Gideon. I wish to speak to you on an important matter.
Certainly, John. Do go ahead.
It's about Greg Summers. He's been bullying members of my team and me. Even though he's my line manager, I find his behaviour to be quite unacceptable.
We take all accusations of bullying extremely seriously. However, can you provide any evidence?
Of course, I have the testimonies of at least 4 members of staff, including one incident of sexual harassment.
This is indeed serious, and I promise there will be a full investigation, and if it is proven that he has committed any wrongdoing, then disciplinary action will be taken.
Okay, so you'll keep me informed of the process?
I certainly will.
Okay, great, I appreciate that, thank you.
So that was more appropriate, wasn't it?
It was much more appropriate, wasn't it? There was more, I suppose in English you say there's more weight to some of those words, aren't they? So unacceptable, I think, is much better.
I think so. Even good morning instead of hi.
Yeah. Well, it sets the tone, doesn't it, by saying good morning? Because that way you're kind of showing that something's a bit more serious.
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And instead of I certainly will.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else?
Things like that certainly give something more definite to it, don't they?
More weighty.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of use of will is certainly useful. Yeah, I think that helps a lot.
And the use however instead of but as well, a small point.
Yep, exactly.
That often adds just another degree of formality.
Yeah, because however, I guess, is something that often you would use in writing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's often a bit more formal.
Mm-hmm.
Also, certainly as well, I think certainly is more like you're really paying attention to somebody and that you've acknowledged that it's something important.
Good point. All right, we'll move on to the next dialogue.
Yes.
That one was very serious.
Mm-hmm.
The other one's perhaps a little bit less so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second one is a business dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's about a salesman selling a toaster.
Okay.
It's a Wi-Fi toaster. It's completely ridiculous. It doesn't matter. It's just for the purposes of this dialogue, okay?
Well, I have a Wi-Fi toaster.
You have a Wi-Fi toaster. Good for you. I'm sure it's worth the £500 you spent on it.
Well, it was £1,000.
Okay. But anyway, once again, something wrong with this dialogue. Can you spot it? John, I should like to inform you of an exceptional new product.
What is it?
It's a toaster with Wi-Fi capabilities that enables you to toast and control the exposure of the bread to radiant heat, thus enabling you to ensure the optimum crispiness. All from a remote distance from anywhere in your abode. It is also incumbent upon me, as a salesman of the manufacturer, to inform you of an introductory 30% reduction in the cost of this device.
What?
Something wrong there, obviously.
Yeah, there was. It was like I was buying a spaceship or something like
exactly.
that. It was far too much. I would have definitely not bought your toaster, I'm afraid.
Too technical, too formal.
Yeah.
It's alienated you from me.
Yeah, I didn't understand half the words you used.
Yeah.
So
I think in business, generally you'd use a neutral register with a touch of informality. Okay, the exception would be in a contract or something, in negotiations, then maybe you use something more formal.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
However, in this type of business, when you're trying to sell something, you want to get close to the customer, to the listener, so you'd use a more informal language. And we've got the
informal
good
version
version now.
Well, it creates a connection though, doesn't it? If it's a little bit more informal.
Exactly. That's what exactly in business you're always trying to create connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
So here we are. John, I've got a great new product here. Can I show you?
Sure. What is it?
It's a Wi-Fi toaster. You put in the bread, and then you can control the toaster from anywhere in the house to make sure the bread is exactly how you like it. And it'll tell you through the app when it's ready.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
And what's more is that we're offering 30% off for a limited time.
Great. I'm going to buy one.
I convinced you, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
You hand it over. Hand over the cash.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you take card?
You do.
Well, I mean, despite the fact that it seems quite a useless product, you did convince me because of the register. Yeah. I felt a connection. I thought you were really telling me something that I wanted.
Yeah.
And it didn't sound too crazy.
I was using friendly language.
Yeah.
I wasn't using any things which are too technical, and yeah.
But at the same time, it was informative as well. So
exactly, it was informative. I told you what it did, but I told you in everyday language that everyone could understand.
Yeah,
okay.
definitely.
So that works.
Yeah,
right.
I'll buy it from you later.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to purchase one? Yes, to see me after the video.
We could put some Let Them Talk branding on the side.
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
Fantastic.
On the merch store.
Indeed.
It'll be available.
That'd be wonderful.
So on to the next dialogue, and this is John is my workmate.
Workmate.
We've been working together quite a while. We know each other quite well, and John is going to invite me to the pub, as they often do in British workplaces.
They do, yeah. After work, yeah, go for a pub.
Once again, there's something wrong with this dialogue, but can you spot it?
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay, so, hey Gideon, some of us are going to the pub after work. Do you fancy joining us?
Sure, John, we can have a little beer and a nice chat. Don't drink too much. I know what you're like, and your mummy won't like it. Come here. Your collar's all a mess. Look at you. Okay, see you later then. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. John, that freaked you out there.
You did really, yeah. Especially when you touched my collar.
Yeah.
But I suppose on some level it's nice that you noticed my collar was a mess.
So what was wrong?
Well, it was too kind of friendly.
Yeah.
Kind of intimate, we would say.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe I was expecting you to then, I don't know, pinch my cheek or something, like you're somebody's aunt would or something.
Yeah, exactly. I was using a register that was too intimate, the intimate register.
Yeah.
So we're friends, or work colleagues, we're friends, so it's fine to be informal, but there is also sort of a line of informality that you wouldn't cross with friends or with work colleagues, unless you have a special, liking for that work, for that colleague.
This is true. I'm not going to be inviting you to the pub again if you do that.
No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So let's do this correctly then. The correct informal register.
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
Hey Gideon, some of us are going to the pub after work. Fancy joining us?
Yeah, sure, mate. What time are you going?
About 6 p.m.
Okay, I'll meet you there. Can you get me half a lager if I'm a bit late?
No worries, but we're only going to buy pints, so.
Okay, that's not in the script, John. But fair enough. I'll have a pint this time. I'll make an exception.
Okay, great. Yeah.
All right. See you later. Then. Cheers.
Catch you later. Cheers.
Okay. Okay. In spite of you insisting that I drink much more beer than I normally do,
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that.
That was the appropriate register.
It was the appropriate register. That's true. Yes, because it was fairly casual, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, you weren't touching my collar, so that was a good thing.
And also the tone wasn't like, "Oh, see you later." It was a normal, friendly tone that you would make with with friends or work colleagues.
Yeah, or friends or work colleagues. Yeah, it was just on the same level, really, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's great. Now, John, I have some news because you are my mum.
Oh my
not,
God.
not really. It's just for the purposes of this dialogue.
Should I put a wig on or a dress?
An age a few years, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
But obviously, this is you're speaking to your mother. There's a certain way that you'd speak to a family member.
Mhm.
But what's wrong with this dialogue?
Yeah.
Yes,
I see.
let's do it.
Okay. So, hello, Gideon. Are you coming over on Sunday for lunch?
Ah, mother, indeed, I shall attend the said luncheon. However, I ask that you not offer any foods derived from animal products, as I have recently converted to a vegan diet.
Okay, I'll remember that. Is fish okay?
No, it most certainly is not.
Oh dear.
So there you are. So what was wrong with that, John?
Well, that was far too formal. You're using very high level language there. You're creating a distance between us, and obviously you would hope as mother and son there would be a close connection. I think you said before it's a bit like Victorian times.
Yeah, something like that. Yes. Although I remember a friend of mine used to say that his father always used to use the wrong register to him, and he'd write him emails saying, like, further to my email of the 25th, I inform you that not the way you'd expect a father to talk to a son.
Yes.
And
okay.
so you need an intimate register. Usually, you're close to.
You do, yes.
Yeah, and so intimate registers for close family members and partners, that type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, of course. I mean, that's important, isn't it? Because for that, it just creates a distance. So, in that case, I'm not going to care about your vegan diet.
No, and I'd be disinherited.
Yes, exactly. No money coming to you.
So how would you correctly speak to your mum? Okay, let's do the correct dialogue.
You're speaking to your mum, not me speaking to your mum.
You're my mum.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this correctly then.
Okay, sorry. So, hello, Gideon. Are you coming over for lunch on Sunday?
Hi, Mum. Yeah, I'd love to, but I've become a vegan. I can't eat anything with animal products. No meat, no cheese, no milk.
Ah. Oh, okay. I'll remember that. What about fish? Is that okay?
Sorry, Mum. I don't eat fish anymore.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trauma for the mother, but
It is. Yeah.
but at least the register was correct.
The register was correct, wasn't it? Yeah. You're much more casual, much more of a connection there.
Anyway, John, thanks for coming over. Who are you? You want to tell our esteemed viewers who you are?
Our esteemed viewers, yes, my name's John and I'm from English with Monty. We do also do some podcast episodes together, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Yes, so listen to John's podcast.
Indeed, yes. So
I'll put a link in the description.
Excellent.
So thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed that video. More coming soon. Bye.
Bye.